Hello everybody, hope you guys are all enjoying your day. Today we're going to be looking at your weekly forecast spanning from the 5th of January, which would be today, all the way until next Sunday, which would be the 12th of January. And we're going to be looking at your precipitation anomalies and then your temperature anomalies, and then going over your special events, which just shows you where storm systems are going to occur, and then where big temperature differences are going to be occurring. So big heat waves, big cold fronts, all that, where that's going to be occurring, and we're just going to be quickly recapping it for you so you can kind of know what your work week is going to look like. So we start off here with your precipitation anomalies. And we start off with your below average. You're starting off with your slightly below average here, and again, this is spanning from the 5th through the 12th. This is your precipitation anomalies. Your below average, one little section here from Arizona, New Mexico, through Colorado, Kansas, and Nebraska, up through Iowa, South Dakota, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. And that's where you're going to see slightly below average temperatures. Shouldn't be too noticeable in these areas, and we don't even have another shade of moderately below average. So really, this is just going to be kind of a drier week, but it's not going to be so noticeable, just slightly drier than your normal. So now we're going to add your above average layer, and this is your slightly above average. This is going to be from the eastern United States, so from Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, eastward basically. You're all going to be seeing slightly above average conditions as far as precipitation. So if you are in this layer, you're not going to be seeing it too noticeably, as well as parts of the northwest into western Montana and into most of Idaho, almost all of Oregon, northernmost California, and all of Washington state. You're going to be seeing slightly above average conditions. Again, this isn't going to be too noticeable, but then once we get into this moderately above average layer here, this darker green, this is where it's going to be noticeable that you did have a lot of precipitation, whether that's in the form of rainfall or snowfall. And it's just going to be noticeable that you are going to have a lot of systems occurring through these areas. Now, we have two areas of this again. We have one in northernmost California through the northern and western half of Oregon, as well as all of Washington state, a little bit of Montana, and the northern half of Idaho, as well as areas from Texas, southeast Oklahoma, through Louisiana, the deep south, so areas like Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Arkansas, and then through the Ozarks, so Missouri, through southern Illinois and Indiana, and into Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, and then through West Virginia, Ohio, and then spanning through the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, so Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, and then through Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and then as well as the southern half of Maine, all going to be seeing those moderately above average temperatures. Over the west, you're going to be seeing this because you are having a lot of moisture just being streamed in from the Pacific, and this is originating from areas south of Hawaii. So this is very tropical air or moisture that is being pulled very far north and then kind of coming onto shore, where you are going to be seeing a lot of precipitation as well. You will have a lot of storms moving through, especially this area, which will bring closer to 8 to 10 inches of rainfall in some of these areas. So a lot of moisture to work with, a lot of this moisture coming out from the Pacific, and then also joining up with this moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. So we're going to add our final layer of precipitation well above average in this area. That's going to be seeing about 3 to 10 inches of rainfall this week, or precipitation, and that's for western upstate New York through western Pennsylvania, most of Ohio, the western part of Kentucky, southern Illinois and Indiana, as well as southern Missouri, through western Tennessee, northwestern parts of Mississippi, northern Louisiana, northeast Texas, and into Arkansas. You're going to be seeing well above average conditions as far as precipitation, and that's just because you are going to be seeing multiple systems move through this area, but it's mainly this one big system that's going to move through. That is going to bring a lot of precipitation to this area. That is going to bring closer to 10 inches in isolated locations. And we'll definitely have a video out on the channel talking about that, because that is pretty historic, I would say, or at least very significant over these areas. So we are going to move on to our temperature anomalies. Here are your slightly above average layer. You're not even seeing any below average. It's just going to be a very, very warm week for the United States. The only areas that are in near normal conditions or just normal conditions, potentially leaning slightly below average, are areas in western New Mexico and Colorado, as well as eastern Utah and eastern Arizona. And then you also have this other area for the northern plains, which is going to cool off. You're still going to have a lot of warm air, but at the later part of the week, you are going to be seeing some colder air infiltrate down through these areas. So for Montana, the Dakotas, and Minnesota, also seeing that just near normal conditions, most likely leaning slightly above average, but not enough to be on this yellow layer. And then also for southernmost Georgia and Florida, you are going to be seeing near normal conditions. You will have a little bit of a cool down earlier in the week, which will tilt you kind of near normal, but still leaning slightly above average as well. So all of these areas are pretty much leaning slightly above average, and I feel like the only area here is the only area that might turn out slightly below average, as you are going to be consistently slightly below average to near normal throughout the week. So you have a big area of slightly above average, and this is for pretty much the entire United States, except for these areas just mentioned. So if you are in just this yellow layer, it's not going to be too noticeable. Now, as we add our next layer, this is where it's going to get noticeable, and this is through parts of the northern Rockies, so eastern Washington, eastern Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, and then through parts of anywhere east, basically, of Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. You're all going to be seeing those moderately above average conditions. This is going to be noticeable. You are going to have multiple heat waves, you could call them, but it is the middle of January, so a heat wave is more like 60 degrees. But it is still going to be very above average. Areas getting closer to 40 degrees above average on multiple models of the European, the GFS, and the CMC, all showing that some areas could pick up closer to 40 degrees above average, and the bullseye for really that above average really looks to be somewhere in this area where you could be closer to 30 to 40 degrees above average this week. Now, here's your third layer, and usually if I add a third layer, it won't be this expansive, and look how expansive this is. It's going from Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Arkansas, up north through the Tennessee Valley, the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes, and then through into the eastern seaboard that is north of North Carolina, and all these areas are going to be seeing well above average conditions, and you could see a couple of days really that could be in the 80s if you live south, in the 70s if you live up north. So very warm conditions for this time of year. It's early January and we are seeing very above average conditions. If you want to know when winter is really going to start occurring over parts of the eastern United States, go watch my video. It's called Where's Winter on my YouTube channel, the latest video from when I'm recording this weekly forecast, and we kind of go through a couple models and the Climate Prediction Center's forecast as far as when this cold air will arrive for the eastern United States, since it is so warm this early half of January. You see well above average conditions here, and this means that you are going to have multiple heat waves or warm fronts come through that'll bring very above average conditions. So we are going to get into your special events segment of the video. First, we start off with this little clipper system coming through from the 5th to the 7th. Your timestamps will always be at the bottom left portion of the map. So there's your timestamp, usually right around there on the map. So if you ever wonder when whenever this event is going to occur, just look at the bottom left. We have a clipper system that's going to come down from Canada. It's a bit of an unconventional clipper. Usually you'd see these clippers come through in here, but this time coming over parts of the Great Lakes and Northeast, bring some snowfall, a light coating to 3 inches in some areas if you're lucky, and even some areas on the southern half of this might actually receive some rainfall from this. So not too impactful of a system, just one of these very quick clipper systems that come down from Canada. Now we are going to look at your special event. And you are seeing from the 5th through the 9th, you are going to be seeing a stream of moisture really occur, and you are going to have about a 1 day break in between the next stream of moisture that occurs, but I will talk about that later when that does actually occur. This is coming from now all the way until the 9th. You are seeing a lot of this moisture originating from south of Hawaii, and that's going to be being pulled up north and then coming onto shore, where you're seeing rain at closer to sea level, and then once you get higher in elevation, closer to you getting some snowfall and even some mixing along there, where you're just right between those mountaintops, and then you're right between just at sea level. Now we are going to look at your third special event, and this is going to be your next system, and this is going to provide rain to the south of it and snow to the north of it. We will definitely be covering this on my channel. This will probably be the next video I upload, since it is happening right from the 7th through the 9th. And you are going to be seeing snowfall in this blue area. Anywhere in this blue, you are going to be seeing snowfall, and that's really from parts of the Appalachians northward through the northeast, except for parts of those of the lake effect areas. They won't really be impacted by the system too much, and some areas could pick up closer to 6 inches of snowfall if you are in this blue area. And I will have my snowfall forecast most likely out on this by tomorrow, because it is going to be quite impactful, bring 6 inches to highly populated areas. As well, you will have some rainfall on the southern side of this, where it's just going to be too warm. Now, something with this system, it is going to be very cold aloft, and surface temperatures are going to be right around 33, 34, 32 degrees, but at least closer to this. So right in this area, 33, 34 degrees will be usually your surface temperature. But this cold air aloft, where it's closer to negative 15 degrees Celsius, negative 20 degrees Celsius. It's going to be very cold over these areas, so you will have enough cold air if you do live in this blue area to most likely produce a little bit of snow, if not a lot of snow, because the system will get some enhancing as it moves onshore or onto the Atlantic Ocean. Now we are at our last special event, and this is going to be your big warm-up, and this is going to be occurring from the 9th through the 12th, and this is going to bring 20 to 40 degrees above average in Fahrenheit, above average over parts of the eastern United States. From basically the Mississippi eastward, you're going to be seeing these really warm temperatures, and that's going to bring temperatures really up here even into the 70s. So very warm conditions, and if you live south of here, 80s, potentially 90s. So very, very warm air that is going to be coming through the eastern United States over the next week or so. Anyways, guys, if you did enjoy this video, please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video when I upload. Anyways, guys, that was Eli the Weather Guy, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.